What is up? It's a Fit Gear Hunter, and we have got a doozy. We have got the 2022 best devices for alternative workout methods, full year in review so far. And what I am focused on specifically is I tend to track and test devices for the purpose of CrossFit training. That could be lumped in with high intensity interval training, with an Orange Theory class, but versus all the running, swimming, and biking type reviews that are out there. So I am looking at devices that I think add the most value whatsoever to a rigorous training schedule or training protocol across multiple platforms that aren't focused on some of those other things. And we're going to look at the best so far right now towards the middle of August 2022. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing for more. So the ultimate question before we get into the breakdown of the different areas we're going to focus on, like the winners, best of winners, the thing you have to ask yourself is what makes for a good training device for high intensity interval training? What makes for a good training device for a rigorous, Orange Theory where you're going to push and spike your heart rate to the breaking point? What makes ultimately for me, what makes the best training type of device for CrossFit workouts? And you think about what CrossFit workouts include, and even some of these other methodologies include. You're getting yourself to the breaking point where your muscle fibers across your whole spectrum, head to toe, are being torn down. Now, maybe that's through kettlebell swings or, dumbbell walking lunges, but you're including the upper body, the lower body, the whole core, everything that ties it all together to try to get to a breaking point. On top of that, within CrossFit, you're actually getting, typically in the beginning part of the class, you're doing a strength training protocol where you're building Olympic lifts, you're building your overall core, just raw power strength. So you're tearing your muscle fibers down from a strength component and then going into an intense pocket of intense workout that includes almost every body type and almost all the workouts. So you have this breakdown of your body. So there's three things that are typically needed for an intense training protocol across any methodology, and specifically for me for CrossFit. There's three things. One, you need a device that can keep up and measure the level of strain, exertion, and rigor of the workout you just did. Not just the amount of time you spent doing the workout, but can give you an evaluation, a score, if you will, of the difficulty level for your body. Two, something that can track the training volume over time and not the amount of time you spent exercising, whether it was a 60-minute walk or a 45-minute intense workout session, but can track the intensity that you have placed on your body over a long period of time, which is what you would call your training load. And three, a device that can track your recovery and needed rejuvenation from one super hard workout to the next over the course of multiple days, looking at the overall load like we just talked about, how much wellness, how much recovery, how much rejuvenation do you need, and would a watch be able to recommend you take going from one hard workout and going into the next workout, or maybe choosing not to do that next hard workout because of the recommendation from some physiological metrics. So those three things have to be parts of these components. So what do we have in the best of 2022? What types and areas are we going to focus on? And this is in order of preference, recommendation, watches I like. Number one, we've got the honorable mention, not truly on the best of 22 list, but an honorable mention. Second, we've got the best lower cost watch. We have third, the best budget and durable tank watch. Fourth, the best budget-ish but complete protocol watch. Fifth, the best bang for the buck feature set on the market. Sixth, the best all-inclusive and premium feature set watch. And seventh, the best super premium, do anything, throw in the kitchen sink watch on the market today. And you look at all the watches, what I'm going to do at the end is I'm going to break down, well, who's not on this and why are they not on this in simple terms, so you have some idea of what I'm thinking in that regard. And I'm going to every time we talk about a watch, we're going to look at the watch, we're going to show it on the wrist, we're going to show it on my wrist compared to the previous watch that we just talked about on the wrist. Now, many of the watches, in order to show you them in person, I had to call in a favor with a top reviewer on YouTube right now, which is Matt LeGrand. Matt is a triathlete. He reviews devices like many of us do, and he focuses on the quality and the details and brings to life really specific flavor on different aspects and features. But one of the things that is so great about his channel, please check out his channel. I'll put it in the description below, because he loaned me some of his watch so that I could actually have some hands-on, because I'm not a big reviewer, so I can't maintain all these watches in my personal collection. So he loaned me some watches for this review, but check out his videos are cinematic beauty. And one of the things I like best about Matt's work is definitely the videography, like the shots of things, but his attention to sound. Like if you ever watch his videos, you're going to pay attention to the quality of the sound, not the quality of the microphone, which I obviously often fail to get right, but the quality of each little piece. When he's looking, he loves the sticker peel, like the recording of the sticker peel, but he's done whole video reviews on the sounds you hear at a triathlon. And in my opinion, that is cinematic genius, and he's got beautiful shots and great little logos that splice in, and he's done some comedy bits, but the biggest thing is just his commitment to sound and the special aspects of life that come through sound. So check out Matt LeGrand, and thank you, Matt, for loaning me these things. And so we're gonna start off at the top with the honorable mention, the Apple Watch. And I don't care if it's the Apple Watch 5, 6, or 7. 7 has a little more durability. 7 comes in at $379 in typical terms. And let's take a look at the 7 up close. Okay, first we have the Apple Watch, which we all are very familiar with. It's got so many different, well-marketed schemes to it. There it is on my 17.6 centimeter wrist. And this is the 45 millimeter variant. The best thing about the Apple Watch is the big, beautiful screen and the fact that it's a mini computer on your wrist. It's so slightly functioning okay, but it's really big and it's beautiful, and it's got a lot of customization to it. But you have to put multiple apps together to get it, auto sleep, to get it to function correctly. You have to be able to splice together your bits of workout tracking. The other major thing is that the wellness and recovery apps they're based on whatever Apple chooses to send from the physiological tracking metrics. It's got a super low battery life, more delicate design. Obviously this has a case on it, but it's an all glass design, so more delicate design, and it's just all controlled by Apple. It's very particular. You can't use it with any other watch or phones, and so it has got a very limited scope in how it can serve your every need when it comes to tracking your physiological makeup. But that is the Apple Watch. And next up, we have the best budget-conscious model, which is the Polar Pacer. Not the Pacer Pro, but the Polar Pacer, which is a $200 watch that does all the baseline things you might need it to do. Let's take a look. Okay, so we have the Pacer, and this is how the Pacer looks on my 17.6 centimeter wrist. One of the things that's great about the Pacer is that it has got great casing. So, it's got a very simple design. It's a plastic casing, but overall it's very clean and gets the job done. And the other thing about the Pacer is the fact that it gets the job done on primary components. So if I had worn it to bed last night, there would be sleep components, both on the sleep score and the sleep analysis of stages, as well as the analytics for your autonomic nervous system rejuvenation. And then you can see you get all sorts of the training statistics. If it'll pull up a training workout, there it is from, hey, that's from today. You get a load score, so you get an actual exertion score, this cardio load metric, and that is what is so beneficial because it flows into your overall training load over time. So it gives you an evaluation of your fitness development. You can see your strain and your tolerance is somewhat like your rolling fitness score, and you can see where you are on the productivity timeline. The con of this is that it is a plastic design. It is limited watch capabilities, limited customization, so you're capped to a few of these basic screens and a few different types of watch fonts or time fonts. So it's very, I would say, one-dimensional, but it is giving you the basics of recovery analysis as well as training analysis. And then we have the best budget-friendly tank watch, or durable watch, which is the Instinct 2. And I know when I said the description, you might have guessed what this was going to be, the Instinct 2, but I'll talk about the feature set value that comes with the Instinct 2 and why it is on this list. Let's take a look. All right, so the Instinct 2. Here's how it looks on my 17.6 centimeter wrist. Here's how it looks compared to the last one on the list, the Polar Pacer. So you can see it's not that much wider significantly, but it is a lot fatter if you were to compare it side by side. Now, about the Instinct 2, I just gotta say out of the gate, it is 1,000,000 times better than the Instinct 1. 1,000,000 times. The biggest thing about this is they added the entire training analytics profile aspects to the Instinct 2. So it has got all of the training status details and all of the training load tracking, your anaerobic and aerobic effect, and your scores and recovery time, and it flows through off all the latest algorithms on all of those aspects, which was completely absent on the Instinct 1. Additionally, one thing that's great about this is it's got the brand new Elevate 4.0 heart rate sensor. It's got a new processor. The actual screen that you see here is got more pixels and more pixel density and better clarity, as well as more size. The solar panels, if you choose to get the solar option, is actually more capable, so you're getting a lot time. They actually say that with the solar model you could go infinitely, and it's getting all the sleep analytics as well, so the sleep score was not something on the Instinct 1. But those are the primary things that make this great. And on the con side, versus just all other watches, it is just made for durability and ultra simplicity. It's black and white. You're not going to get a bright screen here. This is a super dimly lit. It's hard to read the text because it is more pixelated. And just the extra bulk. I mean, one of the main features that is not currently, and I can't speak to whether it's on the Instinct 2, is the new heart rate variability tracking that is now on Garmin watches for the most part. This will not take the snapshot of your heart rate variability over the last night, as well as over your 7-day averages and just all your history. So that's the Instinct 2. All right, so now we're getting to the core part of the best watch, and that next watch is the 255, which is the best budget-ish, all-inclusive watch of 2022 so far. Basically costing between $350 and $400 with the music variant. Let's take a look. And then we have the 255, the best all-around budget watch. Here's how it looks on my wrist. Here's how it looks compared to the Pacer, the Polar Pacer. I'm not going to compare it to the Instinct 2, just size, thickness comparison. Well, I guess you can't even really tell. Okay, one thing to note before we talk about pros and cons is that the 255 is 1,000,000 times better than the 245, in my opinion. It has the same new sensor. A lot of these things we're going to build on itself with different offerings as we get down the better and better top watches. It has a new sensor, new processor, better battery life. The huge thing, huge for the addition of the 255 over the 245 is it's got a 1.3-inch screen, which is 18% bigger than the 1.2-inch screen that was on the 245. It's got backlight adjustability, so you can make it brighter or dimmer, which was not available. It is, at least 2 times brighter than the original 245 screen. And on top of it, wait for it, you have full training status. You got the full updated training status profile, as well as all the culmination of effects that now are included. Plus, you have the new heart rate variability tracking while you sleep, and that ties into your training status. Obviously, recovery time, those are, these were like dumbed down versions. So when you went to get into your training status, as it was situated on the 245, you didn't have all the variables, you didn't have all the analytics, you didn't have your load type, you didn't have your load type tracking just to check your volume in different areas. It's got a barometer, which the 245 didn't have. It's got sleep score analytics, which the 245 didn't have. And so you're getting your sleep evaluation, heart rate variability evaluation. It also includes the morning report, which gives you a summary of the last night's sleep, as well as the upcoming day and weather and all those things. What are the cons about this? You have to pay $50 more if you want to have music storage. And then in simple terms, if you're looking at all the different watches that are out there, it doesn't have a touch screen, it doesn't have maps, and the biggest thing within the Garmin lineup is it doesn't have the training readiness, which takes a culmination of physiological metrics to evaluate on a day-to-day basis if you are ready for hard training that day or if you need more rest. So that is the 255. Next up, we have the single most feature-rich, best bang for the buck on the market today watch, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, the Garmin 955. The 955 comes in at $500 just for the base model, or $600 with solar, and it is packing a lot. Let's take a look. Oh, Nelly, we are on fire now. We have got now the best bang for the buck Garmin 255, most feature-rich watch of any of its kind. This is how it looks on my wrist. Definitely not big, definitely not. And this is how it compares to the 255 if you're looking at sort of a size difference on the wrist. They're very similar and they're almost the exact same width. So very similar there. What have I said before about these latest Garmin watches? They are a million times better than the last versions. I'm just going to start at the top. This has all these new features, all these physiological and training features, and it is $100 cheaper than the original 945. That is reverse economics. So it's got all the pro features. So if you missed the pro list off the 255, is all the pro features. You did get the 1.3 inch huge screen that is now on the 955 and not on the 945 with 1.2 back to there. You do get a touch screen, which is now capable here. So that is new feature. It has full brightness control, and compared to the feature list that I highlighted in the 255 breakdown, you get training readiness, which gives you a score for the day to know how to approach the next rigor of workout. It's based on a bunch of physiological metrics, 2 in the last 24 hours averages, and then 7 or 4 on the last 7-day averages. Plus, the other real significant thing about the 245 or the 955, good Lord, and the watches above it is it has full mapping. So you have full capabilities. I don't know that I can just sort of jump into a quick map. Full mapping capabilities, and it's a live map. It's not a picture map. This actually can route you somewhere. It can see if there's a Starbucks nearby, and it can send you on your path to get there. It can do live routing, and it can incorporate the actual GPS units and the over topological graph to elevation gains and different metrics that determine all your running. So the mapping is a huge feature. It's not active now because this is in a running profile that's not actually turned on, but you can use the touchscreen and get all around. Plus, one crazy thing that Garmin did is they made this 955 with the multi-band GPS. So multi-band GPS means it can track multiple satellites at once, and that is only available on higher end expensive. So the con of this watch, it is a non-premium casing. It is just a plastic casing, and that is it. There is not another con to this watch. And if you wanted to compare it to another feature-rich watch in the same price range, I have right here the Polar Vantage V2. The Polar Vantage V2 is a premium casing with an all aluminum casing and does have a great look to it, but also on the Polar Vantage V2 at the same price point, there's no mapping, no music, no training specificity, a smaller screen, a dimmer screen, no customization, no third-party offerings with, watch screens and other customization things, no multi-band, half the battery life. So that is the Polar Vantage V2 at the same price point, and the Polar Vantage V2 is a sharp looking watch, but those are the differentiators for why this is the best watch in the industry right now, best bang for the buck. Now the 955 has a lot, but if you want better premium features or a little bit more rugged but sharper, stronger design, you have to look at the next one on the lineup for the best of review. So this is the best all-inclusive premium watch or premium design watch, the Fenix 7. Fenix 7 goes from $700 to $1,000 and has everything that the 955 has or should be getting. All right, so now we have the best all-inclusive premium watch, and that is the Fenix 7 line. And this is going anywhere from $700 to $1,000, depending on what variant you get and what overall included features that are on it. This is how it looks on my wrist. It looks like a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger. And this is how it looks compared to the 955. So you can see it's just a more rugged design, a little bit more bulky design, and what I would consider a more premium design. Okay, so what do we see about this? Obviously, we can see it's got a metal casing. So you have stainless steel, you have titanium options. This is the solar variant, which I think is a sweet spot for it, but that's just because on the base variant, you get stainless, this is stainless, but you don't have a choice of a black color or carbon gray color.
And so this is the carbon gray solar, and it, it's going to get a lot more battery life. The solar variant is more efficient. So there's the new heart rate sensor, which is on all the Garmin watches we talked about. So no looks there. So this has all of the features of the 955. It has the touch screen, it has the mapping, it has the training readiness. It currently doesn't have the little morning report because it just hasn't updated to that, because that was built into the 955 and is yet ported down to this. One of the features about this is it has the quick fit band system built into it, which you can actually convert the 955 band to a quick fit band, which I have a video about somewhere in my list. But overall, it is military grade durability. So overall, it's more of a tank. If you want to spend the money, you can go with sapphire glass screen, which is going to give you increasingly great durability with also getting the solar capability, as well as titanium around the edges for the ultimate premium. The con with this is that unless you get the sapphire solar titanium version, you don't get multi-band GPS, which totally blows. That is just makes me crazy. It makes me frustrated. Because I want this watch. This is probably like a daily driver option for me, but it doesn't have the multi-band GPS, which just gets under my skin, even though I'm not a runner, not a triathlete, and don't really probably going to use it that much. But that is the best all-inclusive premium, the Fenix 6, the Fenix 7.
And now you have the best super premium all-in-one, throw in the kitchen sink. What else can we shove in this watch? And there are a few options in this space. I'm going to mention ones that I don't have. So one in this space is the Garmin Epix 2, or called the Generation 2, but the Garmin Epix, which has an AMOLED screen, the first of its kind to be a fully functional fitness watch. For AMOLED screen, it ranges from 900 to 1,000. Then you have the Fenix 7X, which has all the features of this watch I'm going to show, has all the same features, and is in the $900 to $1,000 range, or yeah, I think it's in that same spectrum, and includes some of the features. Then you also have the Tactix 7, which I actually include in this bundle because it is a cool looking watch. It starts at $1,100 and it has some ballistic features, but it just looks cool all around. It has some of the similar features. And then you have the Enduro 2, which I think is the best in class, best in breed with all of the feature set aspects. And let's take a look.
So now we have the super premium all-in-one kitchen sink thrown in there, top of the line watch. Now this is the Enduro, and I'm going to talk about a few variants in this super premium all-in-one kitchen sink watch category. I think the Enduro is pretty awesome in its feature set, but it's also just what I'm reviewing. With the Enduro, one feature is you get this cool nylon band which comes with it, as well as the rubber band. And just to keep things simple, there we have it with the rubber band, so you can see it sort of comparatively to what the other watch is. I freaking love these accent colors. I think it looks a lot like the Luminix line of watches, which I have been a huge fan of. You can just see it really, in my opinion, pops on screen. It sort of stands out against the carbon gray. This is how it looks on my 17.6 centimeter wrist, and it has some size to it. This is how it looks relative to the Fenix 7 family of watches, and this is the exact same size and overall design as the 7X, and I'll talk about what are the comparison, the differences there, but that's how you can see it's super premium. This is the Enduro, so it includes sapphire, solar, as well as titanium, as well as that special wrist, as well as a couple other features. That's how it looks compared to the 955. Now the 955, definitely a different casing of watch, but it have all the same feature sets, just doesn't have the same sort of deluxe casing design and battery life, but you can see it's a big difference there. Okay, so what does it have? It has all the features of the Fenix 7, all the features of the Fenix 6. So it's got all the same customization. So I would also include in this super premium all-in-one kitchen sink watch the Fenix 7X, which is the same look. It doesn't have the color accents and doesn't have the same battery life specs, but has everything else. They all include this handy flashlight. The Enduro happens to have a 2x level brightness on the flashlight versus the 7X, but it is also included in the 7X. In this premium line of options, I would also include the Epix. And the Epix looks just like the casing for the 7, but it has an AMOLED screen. So that's, $900 or $1,000. You probably would just go with the $1,000 one because it has the multi-band GPS, sapphire glass, as well as titanium features, but that is going to look exactly like this in the size, if you're thinking comparison, but it's going to be almost like an ultra premium Fenix 7 because it has that AMOLED screen. It's going to change some of your battery life specs, but you would understand that if you were going to buy AMOLED. So the Enduro 2, I do think it is $100 more than the most premium 7X, which is going to give you the Sapphire as well as the titanium, but it also includes the extra band in the Enduro 2 package. It's got about 20%, I don't know the exact calculation, more battery life than the 7X, and it's got 2 times the flashlight. It's got the accents, and then it's got, like I said, the two bands. So I just love the look of this. I do think it's not that much heavier, not a felt difference heavier, and it's just a little bit big. It's sort of like wearing a flight instrument, but it is also really awesome because it's got a bigger screen than the 7. The regular 7 does, bigger screen than the 955, bigger screen than the 255, bigger screen than everybody, and obviously it gives you the capability of just seeing information a lot more quickly. As you scroll through with the touch screen, you just have a big old screen that you can enjoy it with. The con of this, as well as the other variants like this, is the price, because there's no other con otherwise. Again, in this super premium all-in-one, I would consider the Epics, I would consider the Fenix 7X, and I also would consider the Tactics. Now, the Tactics is actually all of the 7X stuff with some ballistic components, but it's got a different casing design. Also has a titanium edge to it, titanium casing, but you have to pay extra upon extra to get the solar and the multi-band GPS, but the look of it is really cool, so don't forget the Tactics 7. So if you were to take this and say, well, there's other premium watches out there, and I would say, okay, yeah, we have one right here. Let's take a look at this little guy. This is the Vertix 2. The Vertix 2 is also the premium watch from Coros. It is another cool looking watch, but let's talk a little bit about the Vertix 2. It only includes spot check heart rate variability, whereas you get an all-time night check, as well as you get a full analysis of your heart rate variability. So a spot check only. There's no sleep score guidance. The sleep, in my opinion, is just sort of looks like a big jumbly mess. You have to do 300 hours of running before you get any access to training analytics, which doesn't work for the CrossFit high intensity interval community. It's got low customization. It's got one of the dimmest backlights that are currently in existence, and you can't adjust the brightness of the backlight. Additionally, it's lacking many wellness features that are in the Garmin family. It includes maps, but they're picture maps, so there's not real engagement picture maps. You don't get access to music. You can only store like MP3s off your Napster on this if you wanted to use the musical components, and it's somewhat equivalent in battery life. So that's why this isn't listed as the premium best of 2022. Let's talk about all these.
So there is the massive list, and I'm sure there's so many of you thinking, wait a second. 6 out of 7 of these, or 5 out of 7 are Garmin watches, and I have got to tell you, that's right, it is. 5 out of 7 of these. 5 of the primary watches I would recommend are all 5 out of 5 Garmin watches. The honorable mention and the Pacer for budget is separate, but if you're looking for baseline, because Garmin cannot be competed with at this time. They can't. I mean, what other watch manufacturer has a sapphire glass solar powered glass? That's right. Nobody else does. Zero. They have solar rims, but the glass itself absorbs solar power, and they've now come out with sapphire version of it. And then on top of it, they have special things like the multi-GPS. Now they're coming out with this system that says it's going to just keep up with like whatever the best GPS. Should we use all systems? Okay, well, let's check. Should we save power and just use the most power efficient system? Okay, we'll do that. The watch will just figure it out and do it for you. They are on the absolute cutting edge. They're the only watch manufacturer within this lineup other than Apple, which is only relegated to Apple iPhones, that has Spotify playlists that you can just download and go with your watch for a run and listen to your whole Spotify playlist mix. They're the only one that has like true mapping where you can actually find a Starbucks and say, take me to Starbucks, I'm going to run there, and it's going to map you a course and give you directions to get there. You can see topological maps, you can find trailheads, you can all those things in the most advanced mapping that others don't have the spectrum of. They have the biggest breadth of physiological stats that they're trying to culminate into simple directions, but by far the broadest physiological tracking metrics that you can accomplish, have access to within a watch manufacturer. So getting into the specifics of some of the others, why not Coros? Well, Coros doesn't actually, in my opinion, have sleep guidance. Now they have sleep tracking, but they're not telling you anything from it. It's just a big blurb. And Coros is really off the market for me in the high intensity interval training community, Orange Theory, the CrossFit community, because you have to log 300 hours of steady state running and running only in order to access their training profile and their training analytics. That's off. Doesn't work for me. They have no offline music storage for Deezer and Amazon, and for Spotify we talked about. The picture maps is just a picture. It's not a live sort of you're not really tracking on a live map. The heart rate variability that they do offer on one of their watches is a shallow offering. It's not an all-time thing. It's a spot check, so it's manually controlled. They have a dimmest screen and low customization. Then there's Polar and Suunto, and I'll just sort of group those together because they do offer, both of them, they offer the broad feature set of sleep analysis, which culminates in a recovery-ish score or into a direction-based summation. And they have training load metrics. So the rigor tracking, the hard rigor of the one workout, plus the amount of rigorous workouts you've done and how it could be affecting your training load over time. They both do that, but they're just lacking so many things. Many of them have smaller screens, dimmer screens, no music storage, which maybe that doesn't matter to you, but there's some of these things are just hard to compete with. If you can get all that, then why not get all that, especially if it's in the similar price point. But then the specialty maps, the heart rate variability tracking at all times, or the body battery, which is a whole other physiological thing that nobody else has, the customization, the way that you can bring in third-party apps that can bring about different metrics that you can see. They're just Garmin's over here. And it's just, even though Polar and Suunto accomplish the basic three components that we set out at the beginning, it's just, they're not competitive. So that is it. This is the best of 2022 thus far in August. The best watches and devices for tracking CrossFit, high-intensity interval training, and alternative methodologies versus the running, swimming, and biking videos that are out there on the market today. That is the Fit Gear Hunter. Thanks so much for watching.